Still have one more chocolate bunny left over from Easter, but I don't know if this thing's even good to eat anymore. There's no expiration date on it. Actually, I could re-gift it for next year. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, after a strong start to the season, the Yankees have fallen a little bit of mediocrity, mainly from some offensive woes, specifically players like Ryan McMahon, who we will highlight there. But I think, don't worry there. I know fans are getting a little bit antsy. This ain't fire boom, the whole thing there. Kind of go into the whole thing where I think there's a lot of offense yet to come there. Again, a lot of players who would expect to put up numbers haven't put up the numbers yet. So I said, let's calm down on things. Again, I'll try to pull the fans off the Brooklyn Bridge there. And of course, we got some good news with Anthony Volpe. As we all know, went under the knife, after the end of last season playoffs. Finally back on the field, has reported to Double-A there. So I'll kind of give you an update how he did in his first game, both in the batter's box and in the field there. And the Yankees taking with the bullpen a little bit, mainly with Jake Bird going down, being optioned to Triple-A. We got smacked around a few times. I think it might be a little bit hasty there, but again, we'll kind of look into the whole situation. And again, with the team really not really, juggernaut to start the season as fans kind of expected there. Obviously, everyone's taken to social media, specifically Twitter, now X, and so we've done this in the past in some other episodes. I'll kind of react to fans' reactions of this. We'll focus on the 7-1 loss they had to the Angels there, where Ryan Weathers got knocked around. Again, the Yankees only scored one run, so yeah, you figure fans will be fired up a little bit. There is the typical fire boom, blah 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 blah. But we'll kind of look at some of those, and I'll kind of react to them to see if fans are being sensible or not. Again, everyone kind of overreacts, but we'll have a little bit of fun as well. So we got a little Yankee news, we got some injury stuff there, and again, we'll have a little bit of fun there on X. But before we get started, make sure you got to do your homework. Wherever you get your favorite audio podcast, search for the Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Again, wherever you get your favorite podcast, again, you don't have to wait a whole week for a new episode. You get my takes on things much quicker there, and it's exclusive for you podcast subscribers. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, again, I like the show, I want to get it right away, hit the subscribe button, bing! So, as soon as I upload the episode to the old computer there, you can, boom, notified, wow, an episode's up already. You don't have to wait a whole week for a new episode. And of course, if you're watching on television, I love TV. I think it's probably the greatest invention ever, but it's a little bit on the old side there. You want to be young like those hip kids there, with the smartphones and the YouTube and especially the audio podcast there. So you want to be hip. So, if you watch on TV, great, but make sure you subscribe to YouTube and make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast. Again, do yourself a favor, be hip. So as I'm saying, just right now, the Yankees are at 9-8. Maybe people look a little disappointed with that, just because they start off 7-2, and your eyes were blown up. And kind of, maybe in the case that Yankees could easily have been 9-0 to start the season, but then they hit the rough patch. That was that mainly 1-5 stretch there. You lose that, last game against the Marlins, we could have swept them, but no big deal. We got the Athletics coming to town. We always beat them up, but unfortunately, the Athletics take 2 out of 3 in the Bronx, and really the Angels almost got swept at one, if not for Ahmad Rosario hitting 2 home runs in the game, specifically the second home run was a 2-run home run, which swung it to a 3-2 Yankee win. Yankees easily could have lost that game, and of course, you lose 2 other games by 1 run, and of course, we all know it went down to Tampa, kind of 3 frustrating losses in a row there. Just losing by 2 runs there, and then 2 games by a 5-4 score there. Again, the Yankees kind of right there, but again, getting swept in Tampa, which hasn't happened to them since the 2021 season. Then again, fans just getting a little anxious there, because at least up to that point there, a lot of Yankees who we were expecting some things from hadn't hit yet. The likes of Trent Grisham hadn't even had a home run yet. This is a guy who hit 34 home runs last year. Jazz had yet hit a home run up to that point there. This is a guy hit over 30 home runs last year. Remember, he was a 30-30 guy. He was going to be a 50-50 guy this season. That's not going to happen. Of course, we all know that. But again, a lot of guys are underwhelming, not hitting at all there. So fans going to get frustrated, but I think, obviously everyone else says it's calmed down a little bit. Obviously, there's players that are going to hit well. This is haven't hit, frankly, there. And if you look at all those final scores, just look through that 1-5 stretch. I mentioned before, they lost one of the games to the Athletics 3-2. Again, Luis Severino came into town. Again, it's Luis Severino. Again, he's been up and down a little bit over the past couple years, but if you just look back at this past World Baseball Classic, it looked like his stuff was really good. Pitched really well against Team USA. Luckily for Team USA, they finally were able to win that game there. But he did pitch a good game on the outset there. Got some big strikeouts against the likes of Aaron Judge and so forth there. So he could be good when his stuff is on. And again, his stuff looked good there. And of course, Jeffrey Springs coming in the game after that. It's just like a hard luck loss again. He pitched a good game against Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers otherwise would have gotten a win there. Gives you 8 innings and just only surrenders 1 run. Unfortunately, Yankees take a 1-0 loss there. Again, I wouldn't put that on the pitching there. Just obviously, the pitching did their job there. Since the offense, again, didn't come through there. And you look at the 3 games in Tampa, again, a little bit of white-knuckle games. Again, you lose Louis Heal's first start of the season there, which you don't know how it's going to go. It's a 50-50 bat flip there. They lose that game 5-3, and the next 2 games. The Saturday game was really the annoying one because they had a lead, but then they ended up blowing it late. That was the 5-4 loss. Again, that was the Jazz, bobblehead or bonehead play there with the bases loaded there. And again, Tampa was able to get a walk-off win. And of course, the finale Sunday game there, Cam Schlitter finally shows that he's human. Okay, he had one bad start. It wasn't really atrocious, and I got like bombed the 2 innings there, but he gave up 3 runs. Ooh, there. But he also struck out 8 players there. And again, the Yankees get swept in. Again, fans were all upset that oh, see, this is what we told you was going to happen. They ran it back, and this is like exactly what it was last summer, and all those things. I wouldn't put it that the case. Again, if you just look at all these final scores, I mean, again, 3-2, 1-0, 5-3, 5-4, 5-4. Okay, it's not like the Yankees were getting the doors blown off there. It was just kind of these. They're right there, and again, a ball bounce here or there, a pitch here or there that's not going the way, or a ball bouncing in the glove of Jazz, or not bouncing in the glove of Jazz. Little things like that, and you just lose the game there. But again, I just don't think it's something to be panic about because you have a lot of good players who, as I mentioned for some of them before, you know, going to hit some home runs, put some offense. Hasn't done anything yet. Trent Grisham, again, hit 34 home runs last year. Didn't have none yet up to that point there. So again, the home runs will start coming. As I said, Jazz up to at least that point had no home runs, but you knew the offense was coming. Even Stanton, even though batting average wise, he had a good start to the season there. He only has 1 home run. You know that's going to come. And even Cody Bellinger at the point, again, mentioned he only had 1 home run, at least up to this point of saying this there. So I figured that would turn, and it did shortly. That's when they had the homestand opening up against the Angels, and the ball started to fly in the Bronx. Of course, Judge with 2 home runs. Well, we're going to about Judge really his home runs. I mean, he's had the home run stroke so far early season since his batting average was low. I mean, after that sweep in Tampa, his batting average had sunk down to 218. You know Judge is not going to be a 218 hitter for the rest of the way there. So you know that offense is yet to be there. And some other guys as well, like Cabrera finally hit in with a home run. Trent Grisham had 2 home runs in that game as well, because one of them including a pinch hit home run. So again, you knew at some point the offense was going to break out, and still have a lot of guys have yet to still break out yet. So I'll just calm down a little bit. You really didn't see Cody Bellinger break out yet. Stanton, yes, batting average wise, as I mentioned before, he's been good with the batting average, but he only has 1 home run up to this point. So you know those home runs are coming. You know the Jazz home runs are coming. I know, Jazz, whatever bonehead play out in the bonehead, decision in the field, they're fine. But offensively, what he's done here since the Yankees traded for him over 2 seasons ago, again, he's been, at least offensively, at least a home run ball and some other things, been good in that regard there. So you know that offense comes. So there's a lot of guys yet that even like Austin Wells. Again, we know Austin Wells, he's not a 300 hitter there, but he gets his home runs. He only has like 1 up to this point there. So all that offense is yet to come there. And again, in that first game against the Angels, that crazy back and forth, 11-10 win for the Yankees. Man, again, you saw the long ball flying there, and I think at the rest of that point there, you'll start seeing the big Yankee offense. So I'll just calm down a little bit. Everyone's out with the Fire Boone and Fire Cashman. It's the same team from last year. It's not the same exact team from last year. Again, they are better, this year than they were last year. And if you look at some of the doldrums they had last summer, mainly through June and July, it was a lot of different reasons. Obviously, Judge was down a little bit with the hurt elbow. Judge doesn't seem to be hurt right now, again, even though he's batting 218. Again, we've seen him make some strong plays, not only in the World Baseball Classic, but also up here playing for the Yankees as well. He looks like the arm strength is back. He's been throwing out some runners there, so I don't think that's an issue. It's just, you figure his batting average is going to get higher there. Again, he's not going to hit 218 the rest of the way. This is a guy who's coming off back-to-back MVPs there, so his offense will come there, so that's yet to become there. So, again, I want to grade that stuff. And last season, again, we know the problems of Luke Weaver. We know the problems of Devin Williams last season, with both big busts for the Yankees. Again, I think the Yankee bullpen, again, is much better this season. Even Bednar, again, technically blowing that save there in Tampa. That really wasn't his fault there. He had a bunch of infield hits and infield bunts, and then, of course, the Jazz play, which he didn't know what to do with the ball once he got it. I don't think he would be able to turn a double play, but again, you kind of need your second baseman to know what to do with the ball in that spot. But nevertheless, again, I think this team is just better than last season, so I don't think it's the same thing. It's just, you look at the record and you're expecting them to go 20-2 or something like that. That wasn't going to happen. Okay, great, you start off the season 7-2 there, but you were going to keep at that pace, and then, other teams sometimes have a good week too. And not only when the Athletics came in, not only they beat the Yankees 2 out of 3, they went over the Queens and swept the Mets. So, maybe this caught the Athletics at a bad time there. So I wouldn't go too crazy over it. And if you want to look at the rest of the AL East, no one's really doing anything fantastic. I mean, Tampa's just incrementally on top of the Yankees right now just because they swept them in the head-to-head games, but it's not like they're running away to the division and just like half a game up on the Yankees in first place. The rest of the AL East isn't bad. I mean, pretty much everyone's underwater. I mean, you have Toronto at 7-9. Again, they added Dylan Cease, and they just made it to the World Series last year. Yeah, they lost Bo Bichette, but they were supposed to take a big step. Well, they're a couple games on the 500. How do you think that fan base feels? And even the Boston Red Sox, was people saying, well, really the Boston Red Sox were going to be the better team in the AL East, even though Yankees kind of got lucky to beat them in the playoffs last year. And look what they did. They got Ranger Suarez. They improved their starting rotation, as well as Sonny Gray. Anthony Romaine is back, and it's like, wow, well, maybe the Yankees got to worry about them. Again, they're 6-11. Again, Crochet just a couple days ago got bombed there. So they got their own problems there. So you want to just take a step back and look at the whole perspective thing. If you want to look at all the teams up and down, again, the AL East right now, I would still like to be the Yankees in that spot. Okay, you lost a kind of annoying close games there, but yeah, still, I think again, the Yankees still have a favorable schedule for the rest of April there, where I think they can still get some easy wins for them. And you still have guys who have yet to hit who they're going to hit there. So just calm down a little bit. And of course, the old adage, we have some players coming back. At some point, Carlos Rodon will be back. At some point, Garrett Cole will be back. And as we'll get into a little bit later, you got Anthony Volpe getting in the minors. When he joins the team, obviously he's going to move some guys around there. But again, the Yankees have a lot of good things ahead of them. Yes, you figure it'd be a little bit better than only a game or two by 500 there, but they're not atrocious right now, man. You're not like 5 games under 500 like Boston is right now. They got a little bit better, but again, really early on the season, there was like a lot of the fans were saying this is even unwatchable there. So if one just take a step back, take a breath there, the record, the standing isn't exactly what you want it to be, but the Yankees aren't in a terrible position. So just like calm down a little bit. And the aforementioned Anthony Volpe taking a huge first step, reporting to AA Sunset and getting his first game, gets his first in-game action since the playoffs last season. And of course, we know after that, went into the knife with his shoulder, which was kind of bothering him the whole way there, and he kind of kept quiet about him. But of course, probably you have to do with his poor performance, mainly his low batting average. But nevertheless, getting on the field and facing some tough pitching. Zach Wheeler also working his way back from rehab. But Volpe did go 0 for 2 there, so you're not really happy about that. But at least to get him out the field, he did have a put out, a 6-3 ground out there end of 4th inning, and after the game he said he felt great physically, so that's what you want to hear. So you'll probably be down there a little bit, and I'm sure at some point they'll give him maybe a game or two in AAA, and then before you know it, should be in the Bronx. And then I figure, well, if Volpe comes back to the Bronx, what's going to happen with the active roster? Well, it's pretty clear, for Cabarello, who fans couldn't wait to send Volpe out on a rail last season, and during the spring training say, hey, Volpe, let's just play Cabarello there. We got him there. He's a better hitter. Well, if you see what we've seen was going on the first couple of weeks of the season, hasn't exactly been the case. And once just look at Cabarello's numbers right now, 179 there, so not, in fact, worse than Volpe last year. 1 home run, which he's got quite recently. Does have 10 hits, so he's been some sign of life there. 6 RBIs, 17 strikeouts already this season. I mean, again, that's Volpe-like type stuff there, so not much better. And a putrid on-base percentage of .220. Again, I think Volpe can do a little bit better than that. So again, for all the people that this, Volpe is terrible, get rid of him, he's garbage, all this stuff there. Again, I'm not saying they're exactly wrong in many cases, but Cabarello is supposed to be the answer to that, not doing that much better. And you can kind of see what's going to happen. And Boom mentioned before, it is sort of Volpe's job still to lose there, and Cabarello right now not making a strong case for him to keep the job there. So probably once Volpe is ready, he'll be the shortstop again now with Cabarello. Of course, he has the flexibility. He could play other infield positions and outfield positions. So again, he was more worthy to keep your hands on. Again, you want to look to dump him because he could do other things as well. Of course, we know his speed off the bag on the bases as well there. So he has a lot of different tools that the Yankees like there. But who would be the odd man out? Well, of course, it's going to be Randall Grichuk, who just has 1 hit up to this point. Again, went 0 for his first 15 there. I mean, his numbers even more putrid. Hasn't got a ton of playing time, to be fair there. But again, not impressive at all there. 16 at bats, hitting 0.63, so .063 there. Does have one hit I mentioned, 5 runs, no RBIs, no stolen bases, and probably one of the worst on-base percentages probably out there at 118 there. So he's one even doing worse than Cabarello there. And it doesn't make sense to have Grichuk on this roster anymore. I mean, if you have Cabarello, they could do the same thing he can play all the outfield positions. Plus, Cabarello could also play infield positions. No sense to keep Randall Grichuk. And you knew what Randall Grichuk was. I mean, they signed the guy late in spring training, 34 years old. Unless he just goes gangbusters, which he wasn't going to be on this team long. It was just kind of a stopgap solution. And the reason he was added to the roster was the reason that Jason Dominguez was assigned to AAA towards the end of spring training, which it made sense. You want Dominguez up in this Grichuk role of just getting 16 at bats. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for Dominguez, and better him to stay in the minors. And he's actually been cooking down there as well, so it's actually benefited him there. And so once Volpe's back, you figure he's going to get the shortstop role. Cabarello will be relegated to the bench, and he'll be a backup, backup stopgap outfield there, maybe some late inning defense, and probably Randy Grichuk will be DFA'd. His bags will be sent packing. Thank you very much. Again, didn't expect much from him, but again, I think he kind of knew what his assignment was, and so I would say, the time on Grichuk is probably running out very quickly. But to move the Yankees haven't made already is dealing with right-handed reliever Jake Bird being sent down to AAA, and of course that was right after that opening game against the Angels. Again, that was the 11-10 win the Yankees had, kind of the back-and-forth home run derby there, giving up a 3-run home run to Mike Trout, and afterwards he was being optioned down to AAA. And this is after maybe a week ago, a week before that moment actually, he blow a lead. Again, that was the 3 runs he gave up against the Marlins there, where the Yankees could have had a sweep against them, kind of wasted a decent effort by Max Fried. Kind of was a weird Sunday game anyway. It was on Easter, and there was a big rain delay. Not to blame anyone like that, but obviously giving up 3 runs as well. So I guess maybe having 2 outings where we give up at least 3 runs there, I guess maybe the Yankees figured that was worthy of him being sent down to AAA now. I think that might be a little bit hasty. Like, okay, yeah, if you do give up 3 runs in 2 times within a short amount of time, that's going to balloon up your ERA. And if you look at the stats right now, at least stat-wise, 1-1 record, the 7.71 ERA, which is, of course, inexcusable. And the home run he gave up to Trout was the first home run given up by a Yankee reliever up to that point there. But you look at some of the other numbers, 7 inning pitches so far up to the point, 9 hits, so a little bit more than a hit per inning. 6 earned runs, that's really the one that got him sent down. Of course, the 1 home run we know about. 9 strikeouts in the 7 innings, so also getting a strikeout more than a strikeout per inning, and just only 1 walk. Now, yes, has it been bad in that short stretch? I would say yeah, but I think that's just a tad bit hasty. Now, unless there's something with the Yankees that they notice something with his mechanics that just aren't good, that he had those 2 big blowups, that he needs to work on some stuff in AAA, okay. Other than that, that's kind of a bit of a quick hook. First of all, Mike Trout, he hit 2 home runs in that game, so not only he tagged Jake Bird, he also tagged Doval, who's supposed to be like your setup man for the 8th inning. I mean, are you going to send Doval down? No. And also Mike Trout hit a home run the game after that. So maybe this Mike Trout came in kind of hot. It was a home run, bit of a binge there. So I don't know if you would necessarily put that on Jake Bird. And if you just look at his other numbers there, again, up to that point there, more than a strikeout per inning, and only had 1 walk. So it's not like this guy has bad control and he's walking the ballpark. Yeah, the 6 earned runs, like there, so that's kind of a little bit troublesome there. So unless it's something like a mechanical issue, I just think that's a little bit of a trick, a quick trigger on Jake Bird. Obviously, last season, didn't pitch much in the, for the Yankees when they bought him over from Colorado. Had that high innings on his arms. He was tax ready, and a couple of outings he's got blasted, so they shut him down for the season. Okay. Had a pretty decent spring, had a pretty good, at least a couple games of the season there in his first few outings. Did pick up a win there. So I think it's kind of crazy just to beat up on him just because he gave that 3-run home run to Mike Trout. Again, if there's something that's mechanical that's off with him that you feel needs to fix, okay. But other than that, I just think you want to give the guy a little bit more of a leash before you get him out. Again, he's a guy you traded for. Again, he's no spring chicken. He is a bit of some of a veteran there. So, maybe if you had 1 more or 2 more bad outings, then finally, all right, like Jake, we got to do something about this, send him down to AAA there. But really just over 2 bad outings, you're going to send him down to AAA. That's really jumping the gun a little bit there. So in the meantime, they did bring up Yerry Los Santos just for a game, but they sent them down right after this. So the Yankees might just rotate a few arms in there so they can figure out something unless Bird gets himself right there. So again, it'll be kind of a shame. So because in spring, it looks like they had some really good stuff. Even that opening weekend against, out in San Francisco, he looked really good there. So it looked like almost a changed man there. So, if this has 2 bad outings, you're going to send him down right away there. So kind of felt that was a little bit weird, but it could just be a move with this Yankees want to have a certain amount of lefties and righties up there, and who knows, maybe just because he's expendable there, because he just hasn't much time in yet, really hasn't cut his teeth in the Yankee uniform there, but I would hope at least at some point he's back soon. And one player that I think the Yankees really have to worry about, and I think is much more of a serious issue, has been Ryan McMahon, really struggling to start the season. Just look at his numbers at the point. 39 at-bats, only hitting 128. 5 hits, no home runs yet, and just 2 RBIs and a miserable OPS of 405 there. And this is someone who's supposed to, kind of tweaked his swing a little bit, as we know the case about him. Ryan McMahon, that he swings at good pitches. He just misses them. So if the ball's outside the zone, he lays off and, able to take some walks that way. That's great. But when a ball's in the zone that he swings, he wants to hit, he can't hit it there. And he's supposedly working on some things this spring with hitting coach James Rawson. Well, at least so far, almost through the first month of the season, hasn't worked out yet. And it's kind of an important cog. Obviously, he's there at third base. Obviously, you kind of want him almost to be an everyday play. I know he's going to platoon a little bit with Ahmad Rosario based on lefty or righty there. But most of the time, you figure he's going to get most of the starts there. And he has to be good there because, this is a guy who could hit 20, 25 home home runs. He can play just as close caliber Gold Glove defense as possible there. So it's you want to run him out there as much as possible. But if he's not hitting well like this is a big problem. Plus, the guy's making almost $12 million per year, and you have him signed only this year, but also on the hook for next year as well. What's the plan for him? I don't really know right yet. Now, I mean, I don't think that's someone you would send to AAA, at least at this point there. But he's got to start producing. He's like one of these guys. I think he'll start hitting a little bit there. But you also have the likes of Jazz also waiting on his first home runs, at least as I say right now, and some other guys in the lineup such as Wells, who's also been slow to get things going on the season there. So I think Ryan McMahon, again, I wouldn't go too crazy yet, but that's a much more situation that the Yankees got to monitor there. And you just hope he doesn't become like another Josh Donaldson or another DJ LeMahieu who's just totally cooked. I don't think that's the case. I mean, the guy's still relatively young there, so we always know he's not going to be a high batting average guy. I mean, he hit around a little bit north of 200 in Colorado, and Colorado is favorable to hitters there. So he's going to be struggle a little bit with the batting average here. But at least to start the season, again, just well below 200 there, and he has yet to hit a home run there. After he had a kind of decent spring, he had at least hit the ball. We saw some opposite field hitting in the spring, so it looks like things would get better. I understand you're pitching, you're facing like double and triple A pitching. That's a little bit different situation there, but I'd be more concerned about Ryan McMahon at third base versus Jake Bird out in the bullpen. Now, fans might be thinking, do we have some options in the minors that maybe we could insert to this lineup? If guys just keep underperforming like this, such as a McMahon, or even some like even Trent Grisham, who great, finally got a couple of home runs, but again, kind of really been really slow to start the season. Now the guy's making $22 million there, so it's going to take a lot for the Yankees to cut bait with that. But nevertheless, you might look at some other options the Yankees do have in the minors there, and some of the talk has been going about for George Lombard Jr., who's gotten off to a good start, but it's only in Double-A, so I wouldn't go too crazy at that. But some numbers there that's quite impressive. A .464 batting average, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and in that same game that Volpe came back for his rehab, actually had a double off of Zach Wheeler. Now again, Zach Wheeler's just rehabbing, so it's not like the vintage 100% Zach Wheeler, but quite impressive with him. But you got to understand one thing, this is in Double-A. The guy's only like 21 years old. There is no way this guy's coming up here at all. They're not going to put him up here at this point yet, especially when you have Ryan McMahon there, who you're paying $11 million to, as well as you re-signed Ahmad Rosario to play some backup third base as well at $3 million there. So you're not going to have those guys making those millions there, and you're just going to dump them and bring up George Lombard Jr. At some point, maybe he'll be part of the Yankee infield, but it's not going to be this season. Now, one option possibly, if some guys keep underperforming, could be Jason Dominguez, as I mentioned before, doing really well in AAA since they assigned him there, and which I like to see a little maturity there. Much easier for him to pout and just kind of fall down a hole there, but nevertheless, hitting well. 353. Now, only has 2 home runs there. Man, we wanted to see more power from him, but still 353, good there. 8 RBIs. Already 8 stolen bases. I mean, the season's kind of young. He has 8 stolen bases, but you like his OPS, 1.013. So that's a Judgian type of OPS from Jason Dominguez right now. So we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, you could, let's say Trent Grisham just batting average-wise continues to underperform. I mean, could you put Cody Bellinger in center field and have Jason Dominguez play some left? Possibly, but I think it'll take a long time to get to that point. I mentioned before, I think Grisham, I think will eventually start hitting the ball a little better. Had 34 home runs last season. Now is he going to hit 34 this season? Probably not. But you figure those homers are going to come eventually in a bigger bunch, and he'll start hitting a little bit better there. So I just don't think the Yankees are going to push that lever just yet there. But they do have that option. But if that option comes, it'll probably be like the first half of the season, and Grisham has to be doing so bad or be hurt or something crazy for that to happen. I would not see that possible. And just to throw some other names around, Spencer Jones, who also didn't make the team, was optioned almost towards the end of spring training to AAA. Hitting right now 236, 3 home runs, already has 18 RBIs, I mean, for a young part of the season, and 3 stolen bases himself, and an OPS not too shabby, not as good as Jason Dominguez, but really good at 821 there. But again, I still don't see a situation where he'll come to the team. This right now, this wouldn't make sense. I mean, if he's hitting 236 in the minors, the pitching up on the major league level is much better. If he's hitting 236 down there, it means he'll be hitting like a $120 up here there. So if he's going to hit no better than Ryan McMahon, and it just wouldn't make sense to bring him up here, and it's going to mess with his head, and he'll get down on himself there. So I don't think you see him at this point now. Jason Dominguez at 353, that's a better case to come up here. It's just right now, I just don't think it's quite the time right yet. Again, once Volpe comes back to play shortstop, Cabrera is going to take Grichek's spot there, and he's still not going to have room for Jason Dominguez, and it's going to take something big. Whether someone gets hurt in the outfield, whether that's Bellinger or Grisham, perhaps, and then maybe that will be a reason for Jason Dominguez to come up. Now, I wouldn't root for that because that's probably bad news for the Yankees overall there, but I just don't see the Yankees making that move just yet. So, but still, Jason Dominguez is going to have to, either someone's going to have to go in the IL or someone by maybe the trade deadline is going to have to be so bad, historically bad there, where they have to pull that trigger there. But I just don't think the Yankees are there quite yet to make that type of move for Dominguez. So as mentioned at the top there, we'll have a little fun towards the end of the episode. And this is reading fans, posting on X, Twitter, whatever they call it now this day. And again, this is going to be right after the Yankees got beat by the Angels in that second game, 7-1 there, where Weathers gave up 3 home runs early on there. And of course, you can figure fans are going to be testy, especially, during that 1-5 stretch and really not really doing much to improve after that. But of course, fans always take to social media, they get a little antsy there. And I like to read and react to them to see if they're overreacting or at least maybe give my response, my take to them. So we'll dig right in. This was one from Empire_Eyes Empire. We need Jason Dominguez back as a huge addition to the offense. I just mentioned him before there. Yes, we would need him, but just right now, roster-wise, this is nowhere to put him, and they're not going to bring him up too soon just to play him on the bench there. Other moves have to happen to open things up, or someone has to get hurt, or someone has to just drastically be terrible, like someone like Grisham for the first couple of minutes of the season, which I just don't see happening right now. So he's still going to have to probably wait for Jason Dominguez, even though, maybe his offense could give this team a good shot in the arm there. And I'm going to try to cut back on the whole Fire Boone Cashman because that's just been done too much there. You bums are a bottom 10 team, truly dog. The S word, you can't say the S word. I want to go that far. Again, I mentioned the rest of the AL East right now. The Yankees are just a half game behind Tampa, so they're not in the basement. And I got to mention the rest of the team. Toronto's not off to a good start. Boston's not a good start. Baltimore, they were supposed to make some big moves. They signed the big Pete Alonso deal. He's hitting $150 as 1 home run there. So there's a lot more teams in a way worse situation than the Yankees. So I would just calm down with that one a little bit there. And of course, there was an Angel fan gloating after the first couple of games. First, the Angels haven't been relevant in so long. Okay, I'm happy as a baseball fan to see Mike Trout healthy. The guy has been healthy in a decade, so if he's back, he's hitting a few home runs, great. He's going to hurt his wrist or his finger in 2 weeks from now. He's going to be done for the rest of the year there, so I would calm down a little bit on that one. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen there. Again, a lot of cursing there, so we can't say some of the stuff here. Some Angel fans gloating here. Let's get a good one. Run it back, they say. They've been openly willing to challenge anybody that says that we don't have a championship caliber roster. They say, I've seen enough, sell the team. Again, it's just been a few weeks in the season there. I wouldn't go too crazy. Remember last season they got off to a really good start, and then again the summer stank. You go to the 2022 season, same thing. They almost looked like they were going to beat their 116 wins season back in 1998 there. And then of course the second half of the season they completely collapsed. So I wouldn't go too crazy over the first couple of weeks of the season. Yay and nay. Even from a Red Sox fan, I would still calm down a little bit, still early on there. With the panic button. Of course, we have this nice picture of Hal standing next to Garrett Cole saying this team sucks. Again, I want to go that early. Again, you didn't want to lose 7-1, but if you look at that point, that's the only game so far at this point where the Yankees say, wow, they just lost that game. Every other score has been relatively close there, so, that's not really sucking. I would just calm down a little bit here. Can we get some of the bleacher creatures to start chanting "Fire Boone" or "We want Jorge"? I guess meaning Jorge Posada, because as we know what the team Italy did there with Francisco and Posada there. Well, I don't think it's exactly them. After the roll call, how about a "Boone can't manage" chant? Does anything change? But it'll take anything to start to get the front office to pick their ears up. Again, you give this team to Jorge Posada right now. Is it going to be any different? No. So it's just kind of a nothing there. Getting rid of the manager has not much to do with it. Oh, here's a good one. It's getting to the point that there won't be a solution. Boone and Cashman seem to be protected. Boone has been a GM for 9 years and been to only World Series once. He's the longest tenured GM to not win a World Series. That's ridiculous. Fans can't count on both Booth and Cashman, blah, 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 blah. Again, I don't want to go too much on the whole Cashman-Boone thing there, but again, it's the players on the field. It's Ryan McMahon only hitting 128 there. It's Jazz with no home runs at the season is. I don't think a GM or manager is going to make much difference. So that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. And because we are hip here, we are on X, but you can find us at Section420TY, as in Talkin Yankees. And as I mentioned at the top there, make sure you do your homework. Subscribe to the audio podcast version of the show, Section420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast. And subscribe on YouTube. And I promise you, we'll catch you next time.